Welcome back, class, to the second lecture slides that deal with Chapter 9, Language. We're going to kick off these lecture slides talking about early childhood and language. So, as I stated, children are having these rapid vocabulary spurts, learning so many words, and also beginning to be able to speak all of these words that they're learning. And around the age of 2 and 3 years of age, children are not only able to just use simple sentences like we talked about in the last lecture where we talked about 2-word utterances. Children are now able to say more complex sentences that sound more like sentences that adults would use. By the age of 3, children are now able to actually say all the vowel sounds and most consonant sounds. Vowels, A, E, I, O, and U. And now they're able to say most consonant sounds. Sounds that don't include vowels. Around the age of 18 months, and between the age of 18 months to 6 years of age, children learn one new word every waking hour. So that's a lot of words. And around first grade, they know and are able to say about 14,000 words. So language is really taking off during early childhood. And so the question is, why can children learn so many new words so quickly? And researchers have came up with an explanation. Researchers have defined that as fast mapping. Fast mapping is a child being able to learn a new word or concept with minimal exposure to it. So, for example, you might have a 2-year-old that overhears a word when the parents were talking about an object they were pointing at. If that word is new or unknown, then the kid's mind might catch it very fast as compared to other known words heard. And the kid may have only heard it once, but within a day or two, he uses that word in reference to that object. So that would be an example of fast mapping. So during this time, children really hold on to their brain is looking and searching for new words in the environment they haven't heard before. And then if they understand what is being referenced, then that's how they learn that word. But the issue with fast mapping is that children may not be able to understand what the word actually means. They may just be able to identify something in the environment as the new vocabulary word, but they may not be able to actually define it. And researchers also expressed that children that have exposure to words on multiple occasions, so over several days, several weeks, several months, that is better than exposing a child to the same number of times listening to a word in a single day. So language has to be spread out. The new vocabulary has to be spread out over several days. And not only for the child to, understand what the new vocabulary word is referring to, but also in order for children to understand what the word actually means. So we have a few principles in young children's vocabulary development. The first is that children learn the words they hear most often. Of course, if they hear certain words more often than others, then they're going to know those words. They're going to learn those words faster. Additionally, children have certain interests, even at a very young age. And so if they're able to learn about things that interest them, then they're able to more quickly understand those words. Additionally, children learn through interactive contexts better than they do passive contexts. So, for example, you may be a parent and you may bring home a new toy may have several parts of that toy, where a child is able to learn different vocabulary words. If you are playing with the child and the child is playing with the toy, that will be your time to introduce vocabulary words, because that will be responsive and interactive context, compared to maybe just reading a book, for example. So you want to have interactive context. Children learn words best in contexts that are meaningful. So for example, you may have a child and it may be the summertime and they may really like going outside. What you can do is point out different things outside. And since the context, you are outside and you're able to express different vocabulary to children that explain the objects that are outside, that allows for children to learn the words faster. And children learn words best when they access clear information about word meaning. So not only is it important for you to express different types of vocabulary to children, but you also should define what those words mean. And lastly, children learn best when grammar and vocabulary are considered. So as I stated earlier in the last slide show, children, even though they may only use one or two word utterances, it is still great for parents to use their language the way that they usually do, so that as children get older, they're able to understand, have a better understanding of syntax and how the language actually should be spoken and how it should be used. Next up, we're talking about early literacy, and early literacy begins before a child starts to actually formally read. So, of course, one of the first things when you think about early literacy is that you think about the alphabet. Literacy experiences are very important in early childhood, but they may not look the same for everyone. So, as I talked about at the beginning of this class, is that there's going to be different contexts for development. So one way that children have a literacy experience is obviously through their parents or their caregivers reading to them. But literacy can also be influenced by culture and by families. So for example, oral storytelling is a great way where children have that environment where they're able to learn about literacy. Oral storytelling is very huge in a lot of African countries and a lot of African cultures. And this passing down of stories is something that is unique to different cultures. You can also have story time without a book, which is similar to oral storytelling. But this story time may actually be a person reciting a book. They may not have the book with them, but that's still an example of a literacy rich environment. Siblings also help provide literacy environments, especially if the children are there's a big age gap between the siblings. Then the older children can take time to read or tell the child stories. Another way that you can provide a literacy rich environment for children are having magnetic letters on the fridge. As I stated, the more that a child sees letters and is able to manipulate them, or sees words and may be able to manipulate words, the more likely they will be able to learn it faster. So if you're able to have magnetic letters on the fridge, that allows children to, one, be able to see it consistently, and also be able to play around with the magnetic letters to eventually make words, and that helps them before they even begin to read. Reading comic books is another huge example of a literacy experience. And I actually went to the Marvel exhibit, and originally reading comic books was outlawed, and psychologists actually thought that reading comic books would decrease your reading comprehension and you wouldn't be able to read actual books that were not comic books. But obviously that's not true. As I talked about, things that spark children's interest, you use that to help them with their language and help them with reading. So if you have a child that's interested in comic books, interested in heroes and superheroes and villains, you may want to get them to be able to read some comic books to really engage their mind and help them learn the language. And lastly, you can have a literacy experience in different locations with different partners. So children don't always have to learn literacy from their parents or their caregivers or their siblings. They can actually go out into the community and be able to read and have those literacy experiences. And here is an example where a barber gets children excited to read. So let's watch this video, and then this will be the end of chapter 9.
Finally tonight here, our person of the week. Perhaps you're taking the kids for a haircut this weekend. Getting them to sit in that chair can be a real challenge, unless you give them something to do. One barbershop with a novel idea that's paying off, literally. Tonight, meet our person of the week. Another school day comes to an end in Ypsilanti, Michigan, right outside Ann Arbor. School might be over, but a new chapter is about to begin for little Joseph.
There's like hard words.
The children pick a book in this barber shop. If they read it to the barber, they get more than a haircut. They get a reward, $2 for reading.
Good job, man. Proud of you.
Dad loves the haircut, but loves the reading even more. Jamal with his glasses, and soon his Batman cape.
You think Batman reads a lot?
Yeah, I think he does too.
A wave to the people along the track from a locomotive, shiny and black.
That's right.
Jamal's mother, Courtney.
He's like, I'm gonna have to read to the barber.
He gets a haircut, and the barber gets a story. And then little Batman gives that cape back and gets his $2.
I think it's helping people learn their vocabulary, get better grades in school.
Get ready for Caden Brown, just 3, handed his book, Stormy Night.
Stormy night.
Afterward, he pays the barber.
You read, so that's yours.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
They come smiling and end up reading. Alex Fuller owns the barbershop.
It just took off. It's been great, and the parents just love it. They love it a lot.
It's called the Read to a Barber program.
The objective is to have every kid in the city to have a book in their hand. The joy will come 10, 15 years from now when some kid comes back from college.
I'm taking a trip.
I chose to be a writer. I chose to be a journalist because you had me read while I came to the shop.
And so we choose the barbers and those boys reading those books. Good night.
Such a good story, and it's a great way that shows that the community can also be involved in providing literacy experiences for children. So I hope you all enjoyed that video. Keep up the good work. I'm looking forward to reading your papers about the movie Age 7 in America. Have a good week, and I will see you all next time. Bye.